Dream a little dream of me. Welcome kindreds, it's Jessica TheStoryWitch, and this video is going to be an update on my depth year. It is now halfway through the year and things have definitely been shifting and changing. I've been watching other people's depth year videos and it's been funny actually, like at the start of the year there was like loads and loads of videos to keep up with, but now I'm able to keep up much better with the depth year videos. And also in our depth year Facebook group as well, the posts have slowed down to like an easily manageable, wonderful trickle of people just sharing their experiences of depth year. If you don't know what depth year is and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will link down below my first video which kind of explains that about depth year. I've also done like an update. I may have done like 2 updates since then, so I'll try and find all those and link them down below if you're interested. And if you want to find out other people's perspectives on it, then if you just look for depth year on YouTube, there's a lot of videos and things now, which is really cool. It's kind of become like a little depth year club. And what is interesting is like so many of us seem to have been going through quite similar realizations, like definitely for me, and I've witnessed this with other people as well. Like at the start of my depth year, I didn't have like a super set in stone plan because that is not how I roll generally, but I was like, right, I'm going to be really focusing on tarot this year and I'm going to be doing a tarot spread every day, and I'm probably going to use this book and I'm definitely going to be studying these books and these books. And that hasn't been how things have panned out. I have been using tarot every day, which I have been doing for years, but not in the way I thought I was going to be, kind of like more structured about my study of tarot this year. But I feel like what actually happened was I felt like I needed to have a plan for depth year, and what I've realised and what I'm noticing other people have realised is that actually by creating quiet, by not adding new things into the equation, by not buying new books, by not buying new decks, it has created that space to find out what I actually want to do. You know, like I feels like I'm very much a Renaissance woman. I do love to know things, to learn things, and like I am jack of all trades, master of none. You know, I don't like to go deep, I guess, into one specific subject, but in a way I feel like that's selling myself short, because I feel like, you know, in that kind of Renaissance person vibe, is that I actually have gone pretty deep in a kind of a bowl of certain areas, things like astrology and tarot and magic and goddess circling, goddess, not so much veneration, I guess, you know, but my activities are definitely there is a definite theme to the activities and the things that I enjoy doing, and I don't have to force that, but I have forced that in the past in a way, you know. And by this depth here has felt like I'm actually allowing myself to do what I want, and that's really refreshing. It's been really wonderful. What made me laugh, I was watching Renee's video, Meadowlark Mystic, she's so lovely, and she was saying that she has a feeling that 2020 might end up being a splurge year because depth year is like, we've been like not doing these things, and what it has created is a space of realization of what we actually want. And so I definitely have been making a wish list for things that I want in 2020. And it's funny, isn't it, 2020, you know, clear vision. I feel like I'm already starting to turn my eyes towards 2020 and what I'm going to do in 2020. But what I'm approaching it in a different way. This time of year, every year, when we start getting around to August and after the solstice, I naturally start thinking about next year. It's when my new word of the year for the following year tends to start bouncing around, you know, in a way. And that's just how it seems to work for me. So it's not new for me that I'm looking ahead to the next year. Not that I'm trying to like rush through the end of this year or anything like that, but just that's how My attention seems to work like that. But this year, instead of like planning in, I'm going to do this and 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 this next year, like usually my goals list for the year is 2 pages in my bullet journal, and like literally 1 on each line. So that is many goals. And actually what I'm going to do in 2020 is really pare that down and focus in, and I'm going to be really focusing in on Welsh culture and language. That's something that I know I'm going to do for next year. I'm going to finally become fluent in speaking Welsh. I can speak Welsh, but I'm not great at it, and I'm ashamed that I'm not great at it, because I am Welsh. My ancestors are Welsh. The bones of my ancestors are buried in this ground, and I should be able to speak that language and not just the language of those who came to oppress us, basically. So I am going to, by the end of 2020, I'm going to be able to speak Welsh fluently. And I'm also going to do a deep dive next year into the folklore and the songs of Wales. And I already know quite a lot of those, but I'm going to focus on actually learning to sing a lot of the songs, some of them in English, but mostly in Welsh, of here. So that is something I'm really excited about, and I don't know, I haven't got my word of the year for next year yet, but I feel like that is going to bubble up. And on the topic of bubbling up, next month for me, August, I'm taking inspiration from Molly Reamer, who, if you watch my videos, you know I talk about Molly a lot because she's fucking awesome, and she has introduced me to the concept of having a cauldron month, and it's something that is inspired from the woman runes, which I've also showed here. I don't know if I've got them. No, I haven't got them easily reachable here now, but it's basically a set of runes which were channeled by Shekinah mountain water, and one of those runes is the cauldron. There's actually a few runes in the deck that feature a cauldron, because you also have like the cauldron of transformation, the cauldron of dancing women. But we know what the cauldron is. We know what the cauldron means. It's a crucible of change. It is somewhere where you brew up something new, where you stir in all the ingredients and then create something new from those things, where you melt things down, where you heat things up. It's a melting pot and boiling pot of change. And she takes a cauldron month. I think Molly actually takes 2 cauldron months. I think she takes like July and August as cauldron months. And I'm going to be taking August as my cauldron month. And what that means for me is that I'm going to delete all social media off my phone. I'm going to see how I feel about Facebook and stuff like that on my laptop, whether I'll log in at all on there. I'm going to, that in itself is going to be a big turning in. I'm already spending loads of time outside. Since we've got the dog, I'm being outside obviously every day, a couple of times a day, and we are finding new little places just around our local area that we enjoy going. So that's been really cool. It's been really lovely seeing the trees as they change, and obviously in August there'll be more fruits and berries and things around, so that's going to be something that I'm going to be doing. But I'm going to be doing those things internally, So I haven't decided about Instagram yet, actually, whether I'm going to, because it would be quite nice to like document some of the things that I'm doing, but not necessarily be interacting. I might still be watching YouTube videos. I haven't said that I'm going to like be off. It's not like a screen time thing at all, but it is for me, it's the interaction element of it that I find, I love that, being a Gemini. I love it, but it also does draw me away from the things that I want to be doing. So yeah, I'm having a cauldron month. I haven't quite worked out what that means, but I feel like it's very linked in with depth year, and it's something that I kind of did last year, but not fully. And this year I'm going to just really go deep into the cauldron, which is going to be really cool. I don't know if you can hear the dog barking in the background. It's probably somebody hopefully not coming to the door. We will see. Things have definitely changed as well. I felt a shift big time this year in what I want to be doing. Well, not really a shift, a kind of I'm realizing the things I already knew. And that's another thing that I've seen other people talk about in their depth years as well, is that they are things they already knew are becoming impossible to ignore. And one of those things for me is my writing, that I have not, especially since I started this channel, I've not been writing anywhere near as much as I used to. I used to do quite a bit of writing, and sometimes it'd be picked up in like magazines and things like that. And I also have, well, now I have 2 books, because last month I actually published a book of poems, and I already have a book of short stories which are available over on Amazon, and I'll leave the links for those down below if you're interested. And it feels like with the publication of those poems, which is something that I've been working on for ages, and which I've been like, Frodo, it's okay, sorry. It's something that I've been working on for such a long time. It's obviously not okay. I'll go down and see what is going on. There are kids playing outside, so I think it's just unavoidable. I'm sorry that he is going to be barking, so hopefully it's not too distracting. It's absolutely boiling here today. We are definitely into the dog days, you know, super hot and crazy July days where you have barking dogs and sweating YouTubers. So yeah, like I was saying, I'm going to be taking Cauldron Month. I've realised that I need to be focusing more on my writing, and now that I've published Maid Mother Crone Other, which is the book of poems, I think I'll try and share some poetry and stuff from that. I'll definitely do that. I'll make maybe some kind of more creative-y type videos, less vloggy, chatty kind of videos. Not vloggy, because I can't do vlogs, but you know, not this kind of video, where I'll share some of those poems and stories and stuff with you guys as well. But yeah, I feel like by publishing that, it is like removed the stopper, and now I can, or like almost like that's packed away, and now I can start with something else, you know. So, and what is wonderful is that when I decided that's what I was going to do, I had a lovely offer from a wonderful person who is a writer, and she has offered me the opportunity to do some more learning about writing as well, which is really cool. Don't you just love it when that happens? You know, I created the space, and then something wonderful flowed into it. So that is happening. I'm focusing on my writing, but what it has meant is that I have decided to close my Patreon down, which was something that I found difficult to do, because like once I've said I'm going to do something, I feel like I'm the opposite of flaky. I do stuff when I say I'm going to do it, unless there's a good reason that I don't. So I said that I was going to do Patreon, although I never said how long I was going to do it for. I actually started my Patreon back in August last year, and have had, it's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful, really great learning experience for me, and so wonderful to like connect with the people who've been there in circle with me. And you know, I was really sad to say I'm going to have to close it down, but I knew that was the right thing that I needed to do. You know, I have been journaling, I have been taroting, I know that that is what I needed to do, because I had been, it was taking an awful lot of like creative energy, and also like kind of spiritual and emotional energy to spin that circle. And I realised it was time that I had to kind of just draw a line under that and move on, you know, to create some more space, to create more space for depth. So that is something that is going to be at the end of July. That is going to be it. And I'm not accepting any new patrons at the moment either. So, you know, basically it is closed. My Patreon is closed. And yeah, that's obviously a big shift for me as well, because I had envisaged that I was going to continue doing it at least for a year, and it hasn't quite been a year. I started it in August last year, and I'm finishing at the end of July, so you know, I guess it is almost a year. It's funny how things work out like that. What else did I want to tell you about? Oh, I said about Renee tonight, talking about splurging and how I've been making a list of stuff, but I don't think I actually will be splurging. I think this year, like in my last video I had like confessions of stuff because I'd bought things, and it's actually got easier and easier not to just buy stuff. I bought a new bullet journal, but that was a planned purchase. I knew I was going to buy because I needed a journal for the second half of this year, and that wasn't something that like contravened my depth year thing. I haven't bought any of the books, I haven't bought any of the tarot decks, and I'm not watching any unboxings. I'm not watching like witchy box unboxings or anything like that either. And I feel like I've got, in fact, rather than feeling like I've already got enough, I kind of feeling like I've got too much of some things. And so I feel like I'm going to be having a bit of a clear out of some of my tarot and oracle decks potentially, or at least a kind of rationalization of them a little bit to kind of see. I definitely find myself buying very similar kinds of decks again and again. And while that's interesting, there's not necessarily a need for me to have lots of quite similar decks. So yeah, that's interesting. And things like magazines, like I think I said in my last video that I almost bought a magazine just by accident, because I'm so used to like when I go into like a supermarket or a newsagents or something looking at the magazines, and now I just walk straight past because it's become habit to not. And that's really wonderful, because another thing that is our focus already, and is something that is going to be continuing and hopefully deepening again in 2020, is that as a family we are looking to really reduce our environmental impact. So we do quite a lot of things already, but there is definitely huge room for improvement, and that might be something actually I could share here on the channel. I don't know, like it's not technically witchy, but it is, I personally feel it definitely ties in with the whole like spiritual and earth connected agenda, because obviously if you feel connected to the earth, then you don't want to be part of that whole rape and pillage of the earth, really, which is what we're seeing at the moment. So yeah, I could maybe share some videos about that if you're remotely interested in our journey as a family to kind of reducing our waste and that kind of thing. I watch quite a few videos about that kind of thing, so I like those kind of videos. Yeah, like lots of other people as well, I found that depth has become very personal to even physical. It's become caring for my physical body, taking much more time to do those things which I know are good for me, which I was like, there wasn't enough time. There was too many distractions to do this, and now I'm removing those. And so I really feel like it's allowed what's truly important to bubble up from the, bubble up to the surface from the depths. So that's interesting. I thought I was going to be diving deep into these topics, but what has actually happened is I'm almost like watching as the really important things come up from the deep of my kind of like unconscious, subconscious, and actually present themselves as things that I need to do. So I feel like I'm so much more in touch with my intuition than I was at the start of the year. And so kind of reducing, and Buddhists and minimalists have been saying this for years, reduce the amount of stuff around you and you will have a better spiritual connection. And I've always been a bit like, yeah, I like having stuff, and I do still very much like having stuff, and there's certain items and things that I love having around me, but perhaps my relationship with those things is changing a bit, I guess. And I really feel like what is really important is becoming much more obvious and much more difficult to ignore as well, which is obviously what happens when you're more connected into your intuition. It makes it much more difficult to like blindly carry on doing what you were doing, which is both good and annoying. Because it means you actually have to do the work, yeah. Yeah, so I think that was all I wanted to say about my depth here. I haven't done, like I say, I haven't done lots of things I said I was going to do. I haven't worked with my Robert M. Place decks and books. I haven't worked through Queen Up or anything like that. I've been using tarot more for digging deeper into myself and to kind of see where I need to go, rather than learning tarot per se, if you kind of see what I mean. So yeah, I'll leave it there anyway, because I don't want to make this really long and take up any more of your precious time. I'd love to know how things are going for you, and if I've missed your video. I haven't necessarily left comments on all the videos actually, so I might have watched your video but I haven't commented on it, because that is something as well, like I said, I'm not feeling that I have to do that. Whenever I watch your video, I'm not feeling like I have to comment all the time, but I am really enjoying seeing and being part of this journey with the people. And I know some people have decided that it's not for them as well, and that's totally cool too, and that's also interesting to me. And I really will leave it there. Warmest blessings. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.